Peacemaker. What a joke.
Buddy?
Stalker?
Dude, are you alright?
What are you doing? Are you looking at me in right now? Is your out?
What? No, man. Look, please, just look at my crotch. See? Why are you crying?
I'm not crying. I'm doing face muscle exercises. I'm exercising the muscles in my face, making my face more muscular. Some of them look like crying. They're not crying.
Well, can you maybe teach them to me?
Yes.
So, sorry, when I laugh, it gets all fucked up. I can see nothing. I saw in the comments, so many comments saying, is Vigilante a sociopath? And what exactly? And please talk about Vigilante. Now, my main thought is Vigilante a sociopath, or does he have autism or on the spectrum? I think that you can, of course, be both. You can, of course, be both. This can be comorbid. I figure, why don't we take a look at the criteria for both and we can decide together. So why don't we all put on our therapy or vigilante masks and figure out the psychology of Adrian Chase.
I don't know, I'm having feelings about things.
Do you think I feel good when after some dude does some atrocious act that I have to kill them?
I don't know.
Their eyeballs popping out of their skulls. You think that gives me pleasure? Well, it does.
So I think that is usually what happens. I don't even know if people can. I'm fogging up. Just gonna have to. This is one of the main reasons that I think that a lot of people talk about Adrian and saying maybe he's a sociopath or a psychopath. So I'm going to be using the words sociopathy, psychopathy, psychopath, because saying antisocial personality disorder constantly is just way too long. And so that's going to be the term that I'm going to be using instead of saying antisocial personality disorder. And we'll also be talking about autism or being on the spectrum. And that also is something that we would have to go through the criteria for that to take a look.
It gives you pleasure too, Peacemaker. That's because we're born killers. What separates us from other killers is we only kill bad people. Usually. Unless there's a mistake. Now, do I sound like a maniac?
Now, the thing is that even though he speaks this way, does that actually make him a sociopath? And what exactly are the criteria for that? People throw around these terms so effortlessly, and anyone that is enjoying of murder or says it, then that's what they must be. This is what we're talking about, a violent psychopath. That's what most people are saying that Adrian is. Most people that have sociopathy or antisocial personality disorder are not at all violent, and I think that that's really important. So let's take a look first at what is the criteria for being a violent psychopath. One of the main things is failure to comply with the laws, usually starting actually at a very early age. And they use lying and deception, they manipulate in order for self-gain. They're often really, really impulsive, and they can be irritable, aggressive, and really only care about themselves. They don't care about the safety or the care of anyone else around them. Everything that they do is with thought of what can profit them the best. They don't feel remorse or feel bad for their actions. They might feel some pseudo emotions, but in this case, when people are talking about Adrian, that's what they're actually using as the criteria for him, that he is a violent psychopath, that when he's talking about violence or killing people or going through these acts, that's what he is. When you're diagnosing something, you're not just looking at what the behaviors are, but the reasons for them and why. And so let's take a look at some scenes where I think it really showcases this, and we can take a look together and you can decide what you think.
Get out of here!
What? I'm just looking for behind a trash can. It's a normal thing to do.
The hell it is!
Are you a psychiatrist? Maybe my secret identity is a psychiatrist, and I know what's normal.
Bro, come on, be cool.
I just want to make sure you're okay. I don't trust these people.
I'm fine.
Just remember, even if they end up being okay to work with, they're still not going to be good friends. And none of them is the type to be a best friend.
Okay.
So when we're talking about sociopathy, that antisocial personality disorder, you see how much care Adrian has for Peacemaker and that want that he's in this place of being his best friend, he also has these kind of awkward social interactions, which leans more to him being on the spectrum versus being an actual sociopath, because he definitely seems to be looking out for Peacemaker. Now, yes, it is for his own benefit that he wants that kind of care, but it seems like he'll even take personal risks in order to do it. So when we're talking about diagnosing someone on the spectrum, we're dealing with different categories. And I'm not going to go through this comprehensive list, but that's kind of what we'll be looking at. One of the main categories is social interaction, that difficulty of maintaining relationships, of that natural back and forth, that flow. Often I see also that people will have a difficulty of the inner monologue and the outer monologue, that they will just say what they think without that filter. They also might have difficulties with maintaining eye contact and with the manner in which they react with their body. They also have difficulties in often reading people's emotions and project what they feel as being what someone else feels. Most people will give people's eye contact a priority. So they'll be mostly looking at people's eyes, but people that are on the spectrum, and again, the spectrum can go from a very wide range, they have more difficulty in reading someone's body language and knowing what they feel when they're feeling it. And so because of that, there can be this miscommunication where things feel a little bit more awkward. And having difficulty in dealing with different types of contacts and maintaining those relationships. Sometimes they might cling too much, or sometimes they might push people away because they don't feel comfortable with it. And we all exhibit these kind of behaviors to different levels. All of these traits can be traits that you can work on and get better at. But for this, it would be something that would cause an actual difficulty in these areas. Category B is when those pattern-oriented behaviors, these things that you're doing over and over again, kind of getting stuck in. So it could be these repetitive movements, use of objects, resistance to change, wanting to stay at doing one thing, a fixated want or need towards something. In this case, it is definitely towards Peacemaker, but it could also be to different areas of interest. For this to be diagnosed, this would have to occur at an early age. And also, this would not be caused by some other type of impairment.
If one of them does become a friend, it should be her, because there's a bunch of rumors going around about you being racist, and, you know, frankly, it's a little embarrassing for me. As if I become a racist by osmosis, even though I mostly kill white people. So, catch you guys later.
So you see, there's two kind of interesting things. He has a difficulty with social interactions. They're kind of a little bit awkward, but also very sweet. I don't see that want to manipulate or control others. It seems more like, for Adrian, he just wants to be a part of something, to be included, to be a part of Peacemaker's world.
Hey, dude, that was a really interesting conversation that you guys had.
What are you doing here, man?
I followed you guys in my Vigilante mobile.
Where'd you get a Vigilante mobile? It's a Sebring.
What?
We know he's there, Peacemaker.
Dude, I know you're here. Get out of the bushes.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So you can see that for Adrian, he doesn't really understand the natural ways of conversation. Sometimes he's saying stuff that you probably shouldn't say, and if you're eavesdropping on a conversation, you probably shouldn't let the people know that you're eavesdropping on the conversation or that you've heard everything, because for most people, they don't want someone else to feel awkward. But for Adrian, he goes through it just very genuinely. He just shares how he feels and what's the truth of his feelings. You never have to worry that Adrian's hiding something. If he thinks something, he's going to share it with you immediately. And you constantly know exactly how he feels and everything he's thinking, even if you don't want to.
Steady yourself.
Hey, dude. Move over for a sec.
There's something about the sweetness in which Adrian puts his hand on Chris's shoulder. He can see that his friend is suffering and a job needs to be done. Now, yes, he's going through and killing the people that have to be killed, but soldiers and people in the military have to do that when they're doing an operation. That does not make them all sociopaths. It's really the manner in which they go about killing than what it is, if they find pleasure and joy in it, which he did say that he has, and he doesn't seem to be bothered at all because he's kind of humming. Though that also can be a distraction so that we're not paying attention to the actions that we're doing. I don't actually think that is for Adrian's case. I think that he is just humming, and he's already seen that in this role, this is the job that he has to do. And so in my estimation, it's that he feels like that this is normal and okay because he's doing it for the greater good.
And now, up here.
But there's a certain immaturity that he goes through, that childlike feeling that he has, which shows a little bit of a developmental delay, which doesn't have to be a sign that he's on the spectrum or that he has autism, but it is a sign that, similar to Chris, that there's something that happened that delayed his development at an earlier age. Though sometimes we just make silly jokes also. And often during very stressful periods of time, we can make jokes in order to vent off some stress, which can be really helpful and useful. So if you're making silly jokes, don't worry. Sometimes that's a good thing to do when appropriate.
Hey, you want me to take you to the jail, see your dad?
Yeah. Even though I know he's a racist.
Shouldn't you kill him then?
No! I'm not gonna kill my dad.
Why not?
Because I love him.
Oh.
And so that also goes through to the not really understanding social relationships and social norms. He doesn't get that just because someone is doing one thing bad, such as spray painting, that your answer isn't just to kill them. That they kind of blow up into this macrocosm, but that can often happen in social situations, especially when you haven't by rote learnt them. If you're not absorbing the cues, some things that for certain people that are more neurotypical, they're absorbing these cues intuitively. And for someone that is on the spectrum, they're having to learn them by rote. But because of that, they're not learning as quickly or as many of them. And so often they may have to go back through and actually physically practice or think of it or learn through observing. The problem is that depending on who you're around or what you think is normal or the things that matter more to you, you might learn certain cues that are only good in certain situations. And so that situational awareness can also cause a deficit in these kind of behaviors.
My dad and I both hate crime. It's the only thing we agree on, and he makes me stuff, okay?
Sure, yeah. No, I mean, my dad never made me anything. He was too busy off pretending to be gay just to get away from me.
And so that shows actually where Adrian gets his abandonment issues from. He already feels abandoned by his father, and so it's probably also why he was so strongly attuned to Chris, this strong masculine figure that was bullying. And so often when we've been abandoned or been abused or treated poorly, we want someone that has the opposite traits, so we become aligned to this very tough character that shows some traits that we wished we had. And so I think that in a lot of ways, Adrian imprinted on Chris and his behavior, and that's probably why he's trying to be what he thinks Peacemaker is or how he should be. That's why he has such a strong attachment to Chris and really wants to be, kind of forces his way into trying to be his best friend.
Keep your eye on your goddamn opponent.
Hey, what's up, fellas? Like, we should get to know each other. Let's start with, I don't know. Let's each say something that we're grateful for that Black people have contributed to American culture.
He is taking a personal risk. This is not something that he's doing that's manipulative or that he wants a power grab or he's doing this for gain. He's doing this to try to protect Chris, which I think really shows a lot of his character of who he is, that he's willing to sacrifice to do things for the people that he cares about. But it also shows his lack of understanding of social interactions. This is kind of an awkward way of going about it. It's cute and funny, and you might argue that he's using this as a way to make them all feel kind of awkward, to get them off guard so that he can use this for a power dynamic, but I definitely don't think so. Him caring about Chris and taking this risk and going to prison for him in order to make sure that his father doesn't hurt him, I think shows a lot to his character and not being a sociopath. That shows his self-sacrifice and care for Chris, and also a little bit of how he doesn't always understand human interactions and how social dynamics work, especially not in prison.
Who are you? The ground! Now! Both of you!
You're a bad dad.
I need to talk to Detective Song now! My son's trying to kill me! Get me Detective Song!
He's still alive. think it might have made things worse.
So you see that heartfelt interaction, that feeling that he has that he couldn't protect his friend? That isn't something that someone with antisocial personality would feel so very deeply for a mistake that they made. This is not him being manipulative. He's not trying to make hardcore feel bad for him. He just feels deeply bad. He went in to try to protect someone and he couldn't. And I think that that really shows the heart of who he is. He will do whatever he can without even thought or care in order to take care of the people that he cares about.
No! You're not taking that in there.
Oh, come on, please. Never ever gonna kill someone with a chainsaw.
There are definitely some cues of having some sociopathic kind of tendencies, but having tendencies or having behaviors that have that doesn't actually mean that he has antisocial personality disorder. We can have lots of different tendencies for things, but that doesn't mean that he has it as a diagnosis. And many of us have certain tendencies with many different things. And I think that that's the thing, is that when you don't actually look through what the criteria is, it's really easy to give people labels. To be actually diagnosed with something, it takes much more, and it has to be much more pervasive than just having a tendency for it. But I can definitely understand why people would say that, because there's definitely some scenes that give you pause.
Dude, this is a really weird time to do your face exercises. I mean, I guess you don't get a totally sick, jacked face like yours without dedication, but...
He's crying.
Oh. Tender and nice touching.
Hey, dude, that's creepy.
Okay.
And so you can see that Adrian, one, misinterprets because he heard before. He learnt that when someone is scrunching their face like that, that's face exercises, not crying. And so he believed that. He imparted that as his new knowledge. Inaccurately, because Chris was too shy to be able to share crying. Crying doesn't make you weak. You can completely share it. But so he believed that inaccurately. And then you can see he goes through that inner monologue of, now that he's crying, what do I do? Okay, I'm going to go through the next script. And he's reading it out as he's doing it. That's when he says, okay, this is what you do. You go through A, B, C, tender, touch, soft. When someone is crying, that's how you behave. And so he's trying to practice that. And so that's what someone that has autism might have to go through. They would go through something by rote in order to deal with behavior. Sociopaths, though, they would actually be really good. Often sociopaths are constantly trying to feed and learn and act. So they still use mimicry, but they're really, really good at seeming like what they're doing is normal behavior. It's usually only those micro expressions or little tiny behaviors that seem odd or when people aren't looking. They're actually hyper aware and often really good at mimicking that they're feeling comfortable or that they have certain emotions to it. And so that would be a huge difference in the way that Adrian is behaving and if he had antisocial personality disorder.
No way, by the birds that have lived in my past. Should I proceed or turn back around? Lord.
For some people that are on the spectrum, they don't feel or process emotions the same way that other people do. And so for Adrian, I think that he's just really excited that he gets to be able to be there for Chris. And I don't think that blood and gore actually bothers him, which is very common for many different people. They may look at something more scientifically where other people might actually impart the reactions to what they're doing. But again, I think that these are one of the things where people are like, oh, that seems like he's a psychopath, the way that he feels about sawing off the body and that it doesn't bother him at all. It's interesting that we often, though, do impart that if I feel that this is gross or horrible that everyone else should do and there's something wrong with you if you don't. Everyone reacts differently to different behaviors, but this is not a sign that that means that he is a sociopath just because he's able to do this. People that go through and are surgeons or morticians, that doesn't mean that they lean towards sociopathy either.
Hey, Adrian.
Dude, listen, it's an owl.
Okay. I can't talk right now, man. I'm working.
Quiz me.
What?
About owls. Look up owl facts and then see if I know the answer.
Okay, hold on.
You see, he's not getting any of the cues that Economos isn't really, Ginger Cool, isn't really into listening to him. He doesn't really care, and he isn't reading it at all. He thinks that he's enjoying it as much as he is, and he's having fun. He didn't read the little sigh, the pauses, that he's busy. None of that registered. And that would be one of those other cues that he has difficulty reading social interactions and reacting to them in a way that would be more neurotypical.
Hey, Adrian, what are you doing?
I'm on the phone, Dave.
Well, get back inside, man. Your section is a f***ing mess.
Dave was way cooler when he was a dishwasher, back when we were friends.
We were never friends.
Then why did I go to your wedding?
Because you showed up f***ing uninvited, Adrian.
I guess I gotta go.
So again, also, he doesn't understand what would be appropriate, what wouldn't be appropriate, and that you can't force yourself to be friends with someone. You can't just, well, I think actually kind of did, and it worked out for Chris. So there we go. He's gotten better at that as a skill. But you can see that he's interacting with people in ways that he's not reading the cues that they don't like that. And he doesn't always know what would be socially appropriate or not. Shouldn't just show up willy-nilly at someone's wedding and then expect to be fed.
How about this?
That should work.
Okay, but just be careful. That's my Beanie Baby collection. I'm pretty sure the market is about to bounce back, and they're gonna be worth a load.
What's with all the ostriches?
Stretch? He's the cutest of them all.
So it also shows that he has special interests, and whenever he's interested in something similar to him wanting to be really good at owl facts, that he gets really deeply involved with it. Whatever he does, he fully immerses himself in it, just like grabbing all of the money from the drug lords. But he has this rigid rule that he's not going to use that money, even though everyone else is definitely grabbing that money and placing it whenever they can so they can take it. So those are some of my thoughts on Adrian and why I think that he's more likely to have autism being on the spectrum than it is that he's a sociopath. Though I could say for myself that he probably has some sociopathic tendencies, or at least he's learning by rote what he thinks the behavior that he should have being a superhero, because he learned that from Chris. You know how I love to deep dive into ideas that don't always neatly fit into the YouTube algorithm? Well, recently I've been able to do that with some really exciting projects. One of them was The Getaway, which honestly was a dream come true. Imagine Survivor meets The Mole, but with creators you actually know. A week of traveling, challenges, a few surprises, and yes, alpacas. It was wild, and I got to work with the amazing team from Wendover. And I was also part of Amy's Dream House, where I got to serve as the psychological consultant, which I love to do, which was incredibly fun and meaningful. And if you ever want a practical therapist-backed guide to managing anxiety, I have a full course on defeating anxiety, where I walk you through what, how, why of taking back control of your life. And then, of course, there are all of my Nebula Plus series, where I go in depth on shows and movies like Has Been Hotel, Invincible, Castlevania, Hell of a Boss, and even Deadpool, and extended versions, deep dives, things that I can't post on YouTube, and some of my favorite things that I've created. And I also have some new ideas on some shows that will only be for Nebula coming up. Stuff that wouldn't work on YouTube, or sensitive topics that I think we need to discuss. All of that, plus my early releases, extended cuts, exclusive videos, things that don't quite fit on YouTube, are available on Nebula. Nebula isn't just ad-free and sponsor-free, but by joining it, you directly support me and over 200 other amazing creators making thoughtful, creative work that they love. And if you want to go all in, you can get a lifetime membership. No monthly fees, no expiration, just unlimited access to everything Nebula has to offer. And with my link, you will get 40% off. It is normally $500, but you can get it for $300. And that's all early access, extended versions, originals, courses from every Nebula creator just by clicking on the link below. Thank you so much for supporting my work, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.